I've been finding myself bored with video games lately, and I'm realizing it's my fault. I've been looking in the wrong places. I'm like one of those people who turns on a top 40 radio station and decides that all music sucks now. I need to start looking deeper for games than whatever the main sources all pitch to me at once. So I went as far away as I could from AAA, all the way to a game jam from December 2014 called Antholojam 1, a golden age sci-fi anthology which should have just been called Space Jam, to be honest. It's a collection of pay-what-you-want games made by small groups of people in just a month. The selection was curated by two regulars in that area, Alex Lifshitz and professional/victim Zoe Quinn. The games are pretty much all worth playing, but here are a few of my favorites. Does canned rice dream of a napkin heap is a pun so clunky that it's actually nauseating, but it's also a really interesting alien dive bar storytelling simulator, and it's the most open-ended game of this whole bunch. Your only task is to entertain a group of sci-fi creatures with any tale you can think of using any props available. You might bring in a can of beans to play Space Captain Barrington Turds to do battle with a napkin that represents classism. Your audience will pipe up with questions to help you fill out your story in interesting ways. I'm not sure what metrics they use to judge you at the end, but the story itself is the main reward anyway. And while the final product it spits out probably couldn't go straight to print, the process is really amusing. The absence of Is was the most technically impressive game to me, and hard to believe it took only a month. You play as a doctor overseeing the first expedition into recording the afterlife. It's incredibly creepy and atmospheric, and it'd be the perfect virtual reality game if the devs ever want to come back to it. Also, it's apparently based off a book, so read that if you're a nerd. Killing time at Lightspeed. If you only play one game from this collection, make it this one. The premise is that you're traveling through space to a distant star, and while it feels like only half an hour to you, 30 years will pass on Earth. You spend this time browsing Facebook, making it the most viscerally realistic game ever created. You're keeping up with old friends and observing current events, but every time you refresh the page, about 6 months have passed on Earth. You're watching relationships grow and new issues get debated, with your only input being likes and comments. You learn to recognize these old friends of yours, who they are, how to support or question them, whether you'll just ignore them. It reminded me of Papers, Please, where you could only really tell a person yes or no, but the circumstances surrounding that choice were incredibly complex and challenging. And while your decisions didn't have as big of an impact as it did in Papers, Please, the choices made me look inside myself and realize my gut reactions to new questions. Like that I really want humans and robots to be allowed to doink. I really do. It's a really cool game. These games were especially interesting with the context of having played Destiny for a shameful amount of hours, which is a game that is on the complete other side of the spectrum of sci-fi video games. So what I learned from this jam is that there's so much variety out there in video games right now, it's great. And I'm gonna work harder to broaden my horizons more like this in the future. Strive to experience something new, something unknown yet magical, something like doinking a robot. That's really what I learned from this game jam, is that I super want to fuck a robot.